I am going to be talking about my top 15 books of the year. I didn't want to do 24 books of 2024 because I only read 60, so if I picked 24 books, that's almost half of the books I've already read. So I wanted to make it a little bit more difficult and choose 15. So that's what we're going to do. They're not any kind of particular order because I loved each one of these books in their own way. So to rank them, it was too difficult for me. Also, I'm battling either the flu or a cold. I'm not sure. It's been running rapid in my household. I've got a box of Kleenexes. So yeah, if I sound a little congested, if you hear me constantly going, sorry, I'm not feeling the greatest, but I am excited to talk about my most favorite books of the year. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna go in depth about my thoughts and feelings because for the most part, I've already talked about these books in like monthly wrap-ups and reading vlogs and stuff like that. I'll give you a brief summary of what the book is about and that's it, because I don't want to be talking forever and I don't want this video to be an hour long, because it very well could be, because I could sit here and talk about these books forever. First one, we have Checkmate by Ali Hazelwood. This was the very first Ali Hazelwood book I ever read, and I'm very intrigued to go and read some of her other books. This is also, I think, her very first YA novel, so yeah. And also, this one is not Women in STEM, which she normally writes. This is chess. So we follow Mallory, who is done with chess. It kind of tore her family apart, so now her only focus is her sister and her mom, and she works this job to kind of try to support them. Well, then she gets this opportunity to participate in this chess tournament for charity, and she ends up beating Nolan, who is notorious for being the best, and he is called King Killer is what they call him. He is the world champion. Yeah, she beat him, and then things just kind of go from there. He gets intrigued by her, and so he wants her to continue to play with him. There's just a lot that goes on, and like I said, brief summary. It's a lot about chess, but honestly, I know nothing about chess. I've said this before. My dad tried to sit down and teach me how to play, and I forgot the rules as he was explaining them to me, so chess is not for me, but honestly, didn't really have to have a full in-depth understanding of how the game works to read this. It was and the things that you did need to know how things worked, Ali Hazelwood did a great job of explaining it without making us feel dumb, if that makes sense. It was really, really good book. Then we have Five Survive by Holly Jackson, and this one was my very first Holly Jackson book. I've heard so much about her, and I wanted to give her a try. This book was so good. It was so good, and it kept me on the edge of my seat. My aunt wasn't even reading it, and she was intrigued about what was going on because I was telling her certain plot points, and she literally came into the room and she was like, "Have you finished it yet?" And I'm like, "No, I'm about to." She's like, "Let me know how it ends." So I ended up having to text her when I finished reading it to let her know how it ends. And so yeah, that was a really fun experience. We follow 6 friends while they're on spring break. They could decide to take an RV, and on the way to their campsite, they get ambushed by a sniper, and only 5 of them survive. And I also liked how it was cut up in time. So we start at 10 p.m., and I believe it goes all the way up to 6 a.m. the next day. It was good. It was good. We have The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is my favorite book by Riley Sager I've read so far. I loved the atmosphere. I loved our characters. I liked the setting. I love the gothic vibes that it gave out. I read this while I was sick, and it was the perfect book to read while you're sick because it's just so good, and it just keeps you intrigued. And So we follow our main character, who is a caregiver, and then she is assigned to care for the infamous Lenora Hope, who has been accused of killing her entire family. So when she gets there, Lenora wants to tell her the real story, and the only way that Lenora can communicate is through a typewriter. And so yeah, things start to unravel. And yeah, we get the actual typewritings, and we love a book that has mixed media in it. So then we have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I loved the story so much. I annotated a little bit, and I can't wait to read the second book. Honestly, this book found me at the right time because we were going through a lot of storms. It was literally the middle of hurricane season, and if you don't know, I live in Florida, and so yeah, Hurricane Alley. But we had just experienced a massive storm. There was no power at my house. We were staying at my aunt's, and this was the perfect escapism. So not only didn't have power, experienced a massive storm, Mother Nature decided to call to me at that moment, so I wasn't feeling great. So this book was just the perfect escapism, and I think it will always have a special place in my heart because I was able to escape into it while my reality was utter chaos. Thank you, Rebecca Ross. Thank you, Iris and Roman. We follow two young rival journalists. When they find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell in a war between gods to seal their fate forever. So we have kind of like it's rivals to lovers, so, and then our main character, Iris, her brother goes off to war, so she starts writing letters to him, but her letters aren't going to him, they're going to Roman, and Roman starts writing back, but she doesn't know that it's him writing back, so they have like this pen pal situation, but she doesn't realize that it's Roman. But yeah, it was so sweet. I really enjoyed the romance. I enjoyed the romance more than I did the war. But yeah, that's why I'm a little nervous to go into the second one, because I've heard that it's more plot-based than romance-based. So we get more of the war and the gods and stuff. So I'm a little nervous about that, but that's not what this is about, is it? Then we have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This book was amazing. I absolutely loved it. The magic system was different than I had ever read. The plot was different than I had ever read. I just really enjoyed it, and I devoured this. I had to immediately go into the next book, which has never happened before. Never. We follow our main character, Elspeth, who has an ancient spirit trapped in her head who she calls the Nightmare. He protects her and keeps her secrets, but nothing comes for free, especially magic. When she meets a mysterious highwayman on the forest road, she is thrust into a world of shadow and deception. She joins a dangerous quest to cure the kingdom of the dark magic infecting it. Except the highwayman just so happens to be the king's own nephew, captain of the Destriers and guilty of high treason. They only have until solstice to gather 12 Providence cards, which are the keys to the cure. During this time, the Nightmare is slowly taking over Elspeth's mind, and she might not be able to stop it. The next we have The Women by Kristen Hanna. This book is so good. I love this book with my whole being. And right after I finished reading it, I was so sad that it was over because I looked forward to reading it. And now I'm a little bit of a book high because I have been trying to read 2 other books for before the end of the year, and I'm just struggling through it because I love this one so much, and I'm in a bit of a high because of it. We follow our main character, Frankie. Her brother decides to fight in the Vietnam War, so she decides to join the Army Nurse Corps and follow him over there. So we follow her struggles while she's in Vietnam, and then also the struggles when she gets home to angry protesters and things like that. People were just awful to the veterans that come back because America was very angry about the war, and so when the veterans came back from Vietnam, civilians were not very nice to them, and so we follow her, and it's me explaining the plot is so, there's just so much more to it than that. There's a bit of romance, betrayal, there's just so much in this. Oh, it's so good, and I implore you to please go read it. Please go read it. It is so good. I was never really into historical fiction until I read this, and now I've ordered another one of her books. It should be here either today or tomorrow. I just love her writing so much. We have The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This book, I enjoyed this book so much, and I really feel like it was mainly because I connected to our main character on such a deep personal level. If you guys don't know, I have a chronic illness, and sometimes the things that comes with that, life can be very difficult, and I'm in pain and all of that. So reading about our main character who has cancer and who also is chronically ill and experiences pain, and the things that she thought about that, and like death, and at some points wanting to die, and thoughts of I would be okay with dying, and I've made peace with that, and all of that. I have thought those exact same things, and so reading about it, I felt sane in a way, you know what I mean? And then the romance, I loved the romance. I also really loved our male main character. He was so sweet and so charming and just really fun to read about. This book is sad as well, but yeah, just enjoy this, obviously. The thing that I have my ring light plugged into just died, so we're gonna have to deal with this terrible lighting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do not have the energy to try to figure out how to plug this up to the wall. Because, yeah, I don't have the energy to get up, so sorry. We have Where the Crawdads Sing by Dahlia Owens. This, I mentioned this in my book tag video, was unlike anything that I expected. I did not expect what took place in this. I feel like I will go back and read it again. We follow our main character, Kaya, who has lived in the marsh all of her life. She has survived for years alone in the marsh that she calls home, finding friends in the gulls and lessons in the sand. Then the time comes when she yearns to be touched and loved. When two young men from town become intrigued by her wild beauty, Kaya opens herself up to a new life until the unthinkable happens. And we have Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Caraval trilogy, and I love these books so much. So much. I can't even describe to you how much I love these books. So obviously one of them is going to be my favorite books of 2024. Because I can't really explain to you like what the plot is about this because it is a second in a series, but really enjoyed it. It was really good. I love like the mixed media that we have in these books. These books are absolutely beautiful. Then we have King of Wrath by Anna Huang. This book, I really enjoyed every minute of this. I loved that it wasn't insta-love, but I also loved that it wasn't too drawn out to where you were like, okay, get on with it. We know this is a romance, so let's get to the romance. Yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed the plot. It's marriage or convenience, fake dating. We follow billionaire CEO Dante Russo, who has never planned to marry until the threat of blackmail forces him into an engagement with a woman he barely knows, Vivian Liu. Jewelry heiress and daughter of his newest enemy, the wife he never wanted and the weakness he never saw coming. It doesn't matter how beautiful or charming she is, Dante will do everything in his power to destroy the blackmail in their betrothal. Vivian is the perfect daughter and her family's ticket to the highest of society. Marrying a blue-blooded Russo means opening doors that would otherwise remain closed to her new money parents. While the rude, elusive Dante isn't her idea of a dream partner, she agrees to their arranged marriage out of duty. What were you doing back there, Cassie? Besides knocking things down. Next we have Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This is the second book in the Dreamland Billionaires trilogy. We all know I love Lauren Asher. Terms and Conditions has the same trope as King of Wrath, so I obviously ate it up in this one too. So we have a fake marriage. So they do like series of dates and stuff, and the honeymoon is probably my favorite honeymoon in this. Was absolutely hilarious because they obviously have to go on a fake honeymoon if they're married, and it's fun. It was just so fun. I think about this often. I think about these characters often. We follow Declan and Iris, and Declan, in order to get his inheritance, has to be married, and I believe he has to have a kid. Yeah, so he has to get married and have a child. We have Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. This was an arc, and I really enjoyed this. I had never read anything like it before. I never read anything about like foster children, and I really enjoyed. We spent so much time with these characters, and we learned about these characters on a deep level, and I just really enjoyed like the mystery. I think it's more like women's fiction with the side plot of mystery. And yeah, I really enjoyed the formatting of this book. We followed these three women who were being fostered by the same foster mom. She is awful to them. We follow each of their POVs, its dual timeline, past and present. In the past, we follow each woman as they were growing up in this house and how each of them ended up in foster care. In the present, the women receive a phone call that a body has been found under their former foster home. So yeah, we follow that timeline, or that storyline, and it was just so good. So good. 3 more books, y'all. 3 more. Then we have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. You could tell this was the first book that I actually fully annotated. There is not a book on my shelf that has more tabs than this. Can't wait to read the next books. I just received Powerful in the mail, and I can't wait to read it. My cat is meowing, sorry if you hear her. I just don't have the energy to get up and let her out of my room, so there's that. We follow Peyton and Kai, where the elites, they possess powers. Peyton does not have any powers, so she pretends that she's an elite. Well, they find themselves in this arena, so it's kind of like, it's Hunger Games-esque. I will say, I did have a complaint about it, and I know I said I wasn't going to talk about my thoughts, but I can't resist. I did have a complaint, and that was that we didn't get much of, like, the surviving bit in the arena. I feel like we should have gotten a little more of that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. There's a scene in here that I absolutely loved, and I saw the fan art on Pinterest of that one scene, and it was like, oh, absolutely perfect. But yeah, I cannot wait to continue this series. Yeah, Peyton, Thief, Ordinary Survivor, Kai, Prince, Elite, Enforcer. So, enemies to lovers, y'all. Enemies to lovers. Then we have A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the ACOTAR series. Hello? Honestly, I said there's not a book on my bookshelf that has more tabs. This would be it if I annotated it. I want to. I didn't have any tabs, so I didn't annotate, and I kind of wish I would have just used orange tabs this now, because I feel like this would have been just as tabbed as Powerless. I ate it up. I absolutely love Reese. He is amazing. amazing. And the scenes in this book, like the back and forth between her going to Tamlin and her going to Rhysand, hello? I really, really loved, this is my favorite book in the series so far. I'm probably gonna reread the whole series in 2025. I finally was able to buy the last book, so I have that one. I haven't yet read it, but it will be read. It will be read in 2025. You can bet on that. But I can't really explain to you what this is about because it is the second in a series. And then last but not least, certainly not least, we have Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This, oh my god. The dragons in this book are my absolute favorite characters of all time. I absolutely love these dragons so very much. And I obviously like our main characters too. Xaden and Violet. I can never remember their names, but yeah. So we follow Violet, who was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living quiet life among books and history. Now the commanding general, also known as her tough as Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite dragon riders. But when you're smaller than anyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away because dragons don't bond to fragile humans. They incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter, like Xaden, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wit can give just to see the next sunrise. Yet, with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly, and the kingdom's protective wards are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers, everyone at the war college has an agenda because once you enter, there are only two ways out: graduate or die. So good. So guys, those are my top 15 reads of 2024. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my favorite books of the year. Yeah, I hope you guys had a great Christmas. Just had a great time with your families. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Helps me out so much, and thank you so much for being here with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you.